Another day, another controversy where Nijisanji is dragged in for no reason. Wow, I love my job. So the Offkai Expo is basically a convention where a lot of people go there to meet their favorite VTubers. Offkai Expo is notable for having a lineup of VTubers. They are allegedly the first VTuber-focused convention ever created in the world. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. What matters is Offkai Convention has decided to remove 3 Nijisanji VTubers from their guest list, namely Enna, Millie, and Reimu. You could be forgiven for thinking that Offkai Expo booted out Enna and Millie because of the controversy regarding dokibird, but that's not the case. Offkai Expo would announce that Nijisanji VTubers who were supposed to attend wouldn't attend the con in response to a FalseEyeD tweet. Now, I'm not saying FalseEyeD was the one who convinced the convention not to bring Nijisanji VTubers into it. False doesn't have that kind of pull. I'm saying everything started when FalseEyeD put up this tweet. FalseEyeD would put up this tweet saying, hearing of strange VTuber guest and vendor rejections from Offkai Expo 2024. DMs are open. Reach out if you wish to share, even if as anonymous. In a screenshot on the tweet, you can see FalseEyeD photoshopped the Offkai Expo featured guest list along with a notice of rejection of Offkai Expo 2024 guest application. This is kind of like an email that someone sent to FalseEyeD because they were rejected from the Offkai Expo. This tweet from False caused mixed reactions. We had people saying that False was just drama baiting again, and then we had other people saying that False was just trying to suss out the truth. You could see on the tweet that he was asking people to DM him if they had information regarding the strange VTuber guest and vendor rejections. We had people speculating they would say, wait a minute, is Niji asking Offkai Expo to reject the vendors? It does look like it to me. Eteria is a guest for the expo. Plus, with the issues in the Doki situation, I bet my left are that this has something to do with Doki vendors. Some VTubers would give their take on the situation saying, legit, I got rejected. It is anonymous as to why you were not picked. I doubt it had anything to do with Nijisanji or even Doki. This same VTuber would share screenshots of their messages with Offkai Expo staff. You can see they were asking, may I know why I know what to include for next year? Basically, they were asking why they were rejected from the expo. Why weren't they allowed to attend? The Offkai Expo staff would say, I do not have that information. Sorry, but it likely had nothing to do with you specifically. We simply received a lot, almost 300 applications, to which the VTuber would reply, alright, thank you very much. One very interesting to note here is that the VTuber showed the messages instead of the emails that FalseEyeD showed. Another VTuber called Dividia would confirm that, yeah, your rejection letter is very neutral. I got one myself. We had people saying that they felt that other people may be misreading False's tweet as if the Nijisanji talents were the one rejected instead when they were the ones who were confirmed to be there. Chris the HoloPro simp would reply saying, the rejection of guest application. Nah, that just means that if you are a VTuber who applied to be their guest and received this email, then you are rejected. I doubt Niji would be kicked out or something as big as Offkai Expo. That would be another massive blow to Niji En if that happened. Others would give Offkai Expo the benefit of the doubt, saying it's an event with limited space. People are bound to get rejected. Someone was angry about False after he put out the tweet, saying shame on you, False. Offkai's guest and vendor applications and announcements closed long before the Niji scandal blew up, and many Doki-loving vendors and guests are going. This is ridiculous and harmful to staff, confirmed guests, and vendors. Other people would think of conspiracy theories, saying, it wouldn't surprise me if Offkai got money from Nijisanji to not accept artists listed on a certain list from a couple days ago. Weird. This man is referring to the Nijisanji hit list, which we have not covered, unfortunately, because there is just too much news to cover these days. Then we had even more people bashing False, saying this was really bad journalism. Maybe wait to post things with these big claims with some evidence. Next, we have some calmer minds defending False, as they should. To clarify to those confused, this is two pics stitched together, referring to False's tweet, the Offkai homepage, and an anonymous rejection letter for Offkai. Nijisanji's Eteria are featured guests. potential guests and vendors are seemingly being rejected for unknown reasons. False is trying to reach out and spot a pattern. This was all very strange and mysterious and confusing, and honestly, only False knew what was going on in his head when he decided to put up this tweet. Thankfully, something happened that clarified a lot of things and made other things a lot more mysterious. Offkai Expo itself would respond to FalseEyeD's tweet, saying, "We're deeply concerned to see if there are talks of strange guests and vendor rejections and would like to assure people that Nijisanji has not influenced our guest or vendor hall decisions at any point in time." Basically, what Offkai Expo is doing is that they are trying to clarify what's happening, and they would put out a follow-up tweet after this. Offkai Expo would put out an important announcement saying, after thoughtful consideration, Offkai Expo believes that recent events have resulted in an environment where Etheria appearing would not be conducive to a positive convention experience for any color inks, livers, or our attendees. As such, Enna Aloutte, Millie, Parfait, and Reimu Endou will not be appearing at Offkai Expo's 2024. Badge refunds may be requested until April 30th at this website. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. Offkai Expo would also clarify for the record this was a decision made 2 weeks prior and had no relation to today's events and misunderstandings. Thank you for your patience. The 2 weeks here is important because what Offkai Expo is saying that the Nijisanji Vtubers were already supposed to be removed from the convention 2 weeks before any of this controversy even happened, which is interesting. What Offkai Expo is trying to say that there should be no strange vendor rejections or guest rejections because of Nijisanji, because Nijisanji was not supposed to be in the Offkai Expo, and this was already decided 2 weeks ago. So that's their defense. Many people reacted to Offkai Expo's decision very negatively. We had Jasmine, who said, "In all honesty, it is a little irritating to announce it now, leaving fans in a false sense of security and giving ammo for others to use against the girls and their fans. Shitty situation, rather a different type of response in the future." We had Shifu saying, "Putting aside the things regarding livers, this is a terrible call to make. Why couldn't you just announce it 2 weeks ago if the decision was made then? Do you not consider the fans that bought the tickets, transport, and accommodation?" He has a point. If the people going to your convention are going to need to plan their hotel stay and buy the tickets and get leave from their work to visit the convention to see their favorite VTuber, why would you not tell them beforehand? If you decided 2 weeks ago, why did you wait until now to tell people about this? Something just isn't adding up. Others would agree with him, saying, "My issue is, if you took 2 weeks ago, it was when it was peak artists being harassed and bullied at cons. Now it's being announced when they could have announced it 2 weeks ago to sympathize with the fans." A lot of people were unhappy with how Offkai Expo has handled the situation, saying, "So what's the excuse for not announcing this the day it was decided? Disappointing and unprofessional. You decided 2 weeks ago, and yet you're only announcing it just now? Fuck you. If this decision was made 2 weeks ago, why of all days do you announce it now? This is so unprofessional. The reason is valid for both livers and congoers for Nijisanji, but to announce this right now? This sucks because those people will just use this against the livers. Disappointing." A certain tea-sipping commentary owl would give his take regarding the situation. The commentary owl in question would say he deleted his quote retweet because he spoke out of anger, and that was not what he was trying to do. Having said that, Mr. Underhill will not be supporting Offkai moving forward. Acknowledge the negative, embrace the positive, keep that chin up. One Twitter user would put out a really interesting question in response to the Offkai Expo controversy. Why would you announce Nijisanji VTubers wouldn't be attending the expo hours after replying to FalseEyeD's tweet? This is an interesting question, and I think the answer is, don't quote me on this, but what I think happened was FalseEyeD got a tip-off from a couple VTuber guests who were rejected by Offkai Expo, and he put out a tweet asking people, trying to bait responses and to get people to reach out through his DMs to get information for his news videos. Unfortunately, because FalseEyeD has a really good reputation for putting out VTuber news, his tweet rang alarm bells, and Offkai Expo was just forced to respond to FalseEyeD. Because why would you stay silent when one of the most respectable news VTubers in the space is claiming that you're doing shady things? They had to respond. And because of that, and because they saw the backlash, they had to put out a statement, to put out the fires. This is what I suspect happened. Offkai Expo had already decided that the Nijisanji Vtubers wouldn't be appearing at the expo, but the event organizers at the Offkai Expo were not sure how they were supposed to put out the news that Nijisanji Vtubers wouldn't be attending the convention without damaging Nijisanji's reputation further, because Offkai Expo needs Nijisanji to be at their expo in the future. So if they damage their relationship with Nijisanji right now, then how would Nijisanji trust them again to allow their VTubers to attend the Offkai Expo? We can all say that Nijisanji has a bad reputation and it would be cancer to associate with them, but Nijisanji is still one of the 2 largest VTuber agencies in the entire world. Losing a relationship with them would be bad for business. Offkai Expo would be arguably worse off if they lose their ties to Nijisanji. What I'm thinking is Offkai Expo got cold feet because they didn't know how they were supposed to break the information without causing controversy and damaging their relationships. The only saving grace about all of this is that people who bought tickets to see their Nijisanji VTubers can still get refunds. You can see here badge refunds may be requested until April 30th. Offkai Expo will also be held on May 31st. That means people who bought tickets or people who are trying to get leave, arrange transportation, book hotel accommodations, they can still have almost 3 months' time to either rebook or replan what they are trying to do. That's the only consolation that Offkai can offer to anyone. Time. At the end of the day, not getting invited to a con like Offkai Expo isn't the end of the world. You have tons of VTubers just putting out messages showing that Offkai Expo just wouldn't let them in. And honestly, that's fine. The VTubing industry is basically large enough that even if you're a certain size, if you're an indie, and you're not part of an established VTuber agency, you're not getting in anyway. So it doesn't matter at this point. You might as well take the consolation from the larger indie VTubers like Mariume, who were also rejected from attending the Offkai Expo, and just move on. If you want to boycott the Offkai Expo moving forward, feel free to do so. If you want to continue going to the expo, feel free to do so. Things happen, it is what it is. As for FalseEyeD and whether or not there were actually VTuber guests getting rejected from Offkai Expo because they said bad things about Nijisanji, we will never know for sure. If there was though, we can always trust FalseEyeD to just make a video about the subject. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. This is Rex Nebula, signing out.